to keep this in mind when you watch it, the requirements that this one that had to check off. So it has to include an escape, a pet, the number 25, and the line of dialogue, "It is not the end of the world." So together let's watch Pursue Me.
Giovanni, no has al fin del mundo. I pursued you.
I recognize a few other faces in that film. Also Alma, R.I.P. We're ready for you to reopen. Okay, next. we have 1443 Films, a scrappy independent production company making movies here in Tacoma, founded by Mel McCarthy and Nathan Blanchard. 1443 specializes in low-budget, surreal comedies that explore the quiet beauty of the universe, and they also do jokes and swears, so that's what we're here for. Mel and Nate are a husband and wife filmmaking duo, writing and producing films with their funniest friends and whatever costumes, props, and equipment they've got on hand. They believe there should be no gatekeepers to living a creatively fulfilling life, and that making strange art is what makes life worth living. Amen. Please help us welcome Mel and Nate Blanchard. And finally, last but not least, the face you will recognize, we have Paul Richter here. He's an actor, writer, and improviser. Lives here in Tacoma, and his goal is not only to create fun, weird, original art, but also to inspire and enable others to do the same. And of course, he's the director of education here at the Grand Cinema. So, thank you. So I believe you guys have done a few different film challenges, but the one we're going to show is from 2023 253 Film Competition, and this is called Roller Rangers? Roller Rangers. Okay. I don't know why I thought it would be wrong.
I probably didn't type it correctly.
It's just a weird word you don't say very often, you know? Okay, the requirements for that year. AI, right? Not Al.
AI.
Okay, good. I'm second guessing myself now. AI. Oh, it's up here. A tattoo, a competition, and the line of dialogue. It's time to roll. So, take it away. Rollers.
Oh no! It's Cyborg Crash! Alright, Roller Rangers, let's power up! Jake, yeah!
Becky, blue. Amy, light blue. Green. Kimmy, purple.
Kevin, red.
Wait, where's our friendship wheel? Why is nothing happening? Are we not all powering up right now?
Whatever, Jake. It's just not power day-to-day, okay? Get over it.
Rangers, one of the spokes of our wheel is off.
It's not just one. I'm sick of this. I'm a teen, and I want to live a teen life. Can't we just go back to the mall?
No, we can't go back to the mall. Cyborg Crab is destroying it right now. Are you not seeing this?
Roller Rangers, this is Zolgar. You know, the floating head that gave all of you your powers.
We know who you are, Zolgar.
I'm just wondering, are you not powering up? Roller City needs you. Are you ready to roll or what?
I'm working on it. What is going on with everyone today? We swore an oath as six radical teens to protect Roller City from monsters and stuff. And lately, you guys haven't been really rolling with it.
That's the problem, Jake. A monster shows up, you boss us around, and he wants to roll with it? I'm gonna power up when I want to power up.
I respect that, Josh.
But now's probably the time to want to power up.
Sorry, we must have had a bad connection or something. Anyway, just want to remind you that I gave you all infinite power. Literally, the only catch is you have to power up.
I said I'm working on it. I just don't understand why we're not all excited about powering up anymore. I mean, look at Kevin. He's just standing over there by himself. Want to get in on the wheel here, Kev?
I got nothing to power up for anymore, Jake. Yeah, and I'm thinking about getting a tattoo.
Can I get one of those cigarettes?
See, Kevin gets it. I don't even know what powering up means anymore.
Do I need to get some other teams who can just power up?
Guys, Zolar's really breathing down my neck about this. I'm breaking out from this mask.
Can we talk about how we're both blue? I'm blue, you're light blue. That's the problem, primary blue, Becky. You're always undermining me. Why does everyone else get their own colors?
It's not a competition. Yeah, let's stop focusing on the negative and focus on the positive. What powers us up? Like, Josh, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
I really like green tea.
That's a power up. Becky, what powers you up?
Well, it was going to the mall.
There's still half of it left.
Okay, that works. Is that a power up?
You bet it is. Amy, how do you get powered up?
I don't know. Is it a power up when I feel relieved every time you stop talking down to us, Jake?
Yeah, just like it's a power up for me when you guys listen to what I have to say and don't make me feel bad about it because I'm just one guy doing my best to keep the gang together.
Sure.
And, Kimmy, it's a power up for you when
we vanquish the enemies of Roller City in cleansing fire. That's a power up, Jake.
it powers me. Yeah! Okay, cool. Not trying to take anything away from anybody, just trying to empower everybody up.
So power up if your parents are splitting and you wonder if it's all your fault.
No, that's not a power up. But when we talk about it later, that will be a power up. So just hang on, Kev, for a little bit. Can you, buddy? Let's all hang on for one last power up. What do you say, guys? For Kevin?
Okay.
Thanks, guys. All right, Roller Rangers, let's power up!
Yeah! Yeah!
Becky, blue, Amy, awesome.
Josh, green.
Timmy, purple!
Kevin, red!
Our powers combined to form a giant wheel! Ready, team? It's time to run!
Great, so we've got a couple questions that just, get things going, but then we'd love to open it up to you guys, so.
We'll just warm you
We'll
up.
just warm it up.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
we'll be ready to roll. Sounds good.
So just real quick, Ryan did a fantastic job, obviously, of introducing you yourself, but can you just real quick, just say your name again and then introduce yourself and how many film challenges have you participated in?
Okay, I'm Nate. I'm the 1443 guy, half of that, this person here. I think I've probably done about maybe like 10. I've done a lot. I've been a part of a lot of teams over the years, many of which I'm glad are not being shown.
And I'm Nell. I'm the gal behind 1443, the other half of our partnership here. Oh God, I probably have done like 8 because I think Nate did a couple before I was around.
I'm Donovan Wilson, and I'm a filmmaker in Tacoma, and I've participated in, I think, 4 different film competitions.
Giovanni Vasquez, actor, and I've done Seattle 48 Hours competition since 2016. I haven't missed one just yet. And on top of that, the regular 48 and the horror 48 as well. So, like 20, I think. And Donovan as well.
I'm Paul Richter. I'm the Director of Education here at Grand Cinema. And I think Nate and I probably have done a similar number, if not the same. And the far majority of the time, we had competing films in the Grand 3x3 film competition. Yeah.
I think I have one more than Paul.
His film won the $500 judges pick and the $500 audience pick. And my film didn't get anything, and he won't acknowledge that it's not fair that you shouldn't get the judges pick if the audience picked the film.
So these were establishing they're lucrative, clearly. This is a money-making venture.
Oh yeah, it's all about the money.
Let's start positive. What are some of the things other than the piles of cash?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've done it a lot, so I obviously really like it. And I started, I always say this about like, when it comes to, honestly, any skill you're trying to develop, you kind of have to have a little bit of success to kind of like want to keep going. And when I was really young, I mean, I think I started in like early high school, started to do those things. And honestly, just having my movie in front of a lot of people, and people like, I didn't win anything for a very long time, and but I would be contacted by people that did win, and they would be like, we really liked your film, blah, 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 and it was like, honestly, that was like a lot for me when I first started, and it meant a lot, and I was like, I think I might be able to do this, and so that was really appreciated up front. I will also say, I don't want to, I'll leave some for you guys for sure, but one other thing is, it's just really good to get, because in the case of the 253 or, the 48 in Seattle or things like that, you have a film after a weekend. Like, it is done, and like, you have something to show for yourself, which is like a really big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think for me, the competitions were like really interesting me even discovering that I wanted to work in film. I wasn't somebody that knew like as a child that I was going to go into film. I changed directions a lot of times before I got to now. And what was really cool about these film competitions is I got to meet like collaborators that I would go on to work with for years and years and years. And it's like such a low barrier to entry to get exposure to being on set. And so like, you know, we'd be up all night and I'd just be like holding a flag or something and I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. But like without kind of that low barrier to entry way, we're just doing this for the weekend. You know, there's not a lot of stakes on the project. There's not a lot of stakes for the folks involved necessarily. And then there's a guaranteed screening where you get to, you know, if you're working in comedy, hopefully hear people laugh at what you just created. And so for me, that was so exciting and really gave me a way to discover my passion for film. So, yeah.
Great, yeah. I had the same fun at competitions, and I also wanted to just put out there like film festivals. I mean, you can still make things on a low budget with your friends, and you can still submit to film festivals around the country. They're always looking for films, and you can get into them. It's not like so hard that you won't. So, you know, film competitions are great and they give you motivation, and also they're really low stakes. You don't maybe feel like they're meant for a huge audience, but and one thing I wanted to say about them is that it's great to have a lot of like friends with you. I've experienced where I didn't do that before and it wasn't fun. So it's better to like have as many people that you like around you and making something together. So that's what I would say about that.
It's great. I mean, it's fun. What can I say? Being in a competition, that's when I realized how much, like, there's so much talent out there, and how incredibly people put ourselves out there. Even though I've done so many 48s in the past, I never applied or I never wanted to be the lead ever. So I always had like a little cameo or a supporting role. Especially for this one, you asked me for it, I was like, I've never done it, but let's do it. And then, you know, 10 years later, after, like you said, you know, you always want, after all this work, all this stress, trying to hit the deadline, at the end of the day, you do want to get rewarded, you know, but at the end of the day, I feel like your reward is that you met so many amazing people to work with. You guys had to trust your instincts, improvise, and at the end of the day, you created something unique, beautiful, and I think that's your reward.
Absolutely. For me, I think there's kind of two like minds that I have that I think about when I think of things I really like about it. As a filmmaker, I have maybe 50 screenplays that are 3 pages long, and then I stop and I'm just like, nah, I don't know, this isn't very good. I'll get back to it. And when you have 72 or even 48 hours to make a film, there isn't time to be like, is this worth it? It's like, it doesn't matter, man. It's Saturday at 1 a.m. We need to get it going. It's just enough time to make something, but not enough time to doubt yourself. When you get everybody on board, it's just like, that's what we're doing. How best can we do it? The other thing that I love specifically about the Grains 253 Film Competition is I love the city of Tacoma. I think we have a very cinematic city, and no hate to people who come up from Olympia or come down from Seattle or from Carver or wherever to do that specific competition, but I love seeing this city and the many creatives in basically the Puget Sound area creating something here. We'll see people there who are professional filmmakers who are just like, yeah, I have a cinematographer here who's from LA, they're gonna do it. We'll also see people who are just like, I'm 8 years old and I got a camcorder for the first time and I'm so excited to make a superhero movie. And there's something really cool about being like, this is home, this is us, this is everybody that's here, and we're all up on the same screen, and we're all having a big party. I say this every year, but the screening for the 2x3 film competition is my favorite day of the year. It's the holiday I look forward to every year, so I really love it.
I sometimes was one with the kind of of speaks to what Paul was just talking about. The other thing, when you have that like set amount of time, when you have 72 hours or 48 hours or like the limited duration aspect, you're really forced to think about what you have access to in that moment, and you're like writing and creating to your available materials, the folks that you have hunkering down with you for the weekend, the locations that you might know somebody who has like a bedroom that looks a certain way. And I think that's something that really carries my work outside of those competitions, because as somebody who wants to self-produce their own stuff, I'm like, what do I have that I can make a compelling story out of? And that was something that I think we really learned through those competitions.
Yeah, I would also say, like, kind of carrying on that is a really good thing to remember when you're working on bigger projects too. I think there is a huge, I mean, I love YouTube. YouTube University is the greatest, but I have a huge problem just learning and gathering information all the time. And it's really nice to basically silence that part of your brain and just be like, what do you know how to do really well? What makes you stick out, or what can you pull off that maybe other people can't necessarily do?
Yeah.
And then just doing it, like kind of just shutting it off and just not trying to be like, oh, but if I knew how to do, oh man, if I could probably just figure out how to, like, I don't know, can I do a green screen? I gotta look that up, or like, something like that. You're like, no, don't worry about that. What can you do? And that can really help, especially when it comes to bigger projects. So.
Yeah, it helps you recognize what your strengths are.
Yeah,
Which is really important. Yeah.
Well, we wanted to open it up to you all. Let's see if you have any questions. If not, we of course do have a stack of questions that we can continue to ask. But we just thought we put the panel together for you. And if there's questions that that's in your mind, you want to ask, no pressure. Yes.
Okay, since we're talking about 48, I'd like to know, what is your favorite category, or what do you think, which categories do you think that you've been most successful in? Obviously, we know there are random pickings that you give, but what was like maybe your favorite or the strongest one?
I would say our strong suit by far is comedy. I think that's
regardless of the category.
I will say specifically for the 253, they don't necessarily stick you with a genre like the 48 might. So you can kind of just stick to your guns on that and do what you need to do. It's mostly about like line of dialogue, prop, possibly location, and what else? All of it.
There's always 4 requirements.
Yeah.
It's usually like a plot, here at the grant.
Yeah, I've never.
It's usually a prop, like an element to include a line of dialogue, and then something else that's sometimes like an action, or sometimes like an escape.
Yeah.
Or
Something like an action like that, but there's never been like a time. I don't think at the grant that I've done ever that there's been like it has to be a noir or a romance or something like that. So yeah, but I think that's always what happens with 40. That might be mistaken. I think that's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say comedy, but I never get it. So I'm always killing people. But it's like me, I was actually shocked, right? I was done like halfway, like, we done. Like, what? So that's when, I thought I knew Tacoma. Like, no, he took me to the coolest places that day. And I was shocked, like, how beautiful are you here? So yeah, I really enjoyed that day. It was only the 3 of us. So I really enjoyed that day, smoke crew, and I didn't think about it. This is nice, I get to go.
the extra 24 hours makes a huge difference.
But if I get to pick, I'll say comedy.
I agree. I think comedy seems like the one that really everyone's there for. They want to have a good time. Everyone's like in this like upbeat party mood. I feel like the comedy really helps people. Or even horror, if it has comedy elements to it, like it's like funny comedy. And I feel like also like comedy with like a little bit of drama, like that works good too. I think going for the laughs is a really good strategy.
Yeah, I will say, that seems, it's almost unfair a little bit sometimes, because I feel like I can see people really trying, and I think comedy just has a little bit of an advantage just with like a short time frame that you have. I mean, the 253 specifically has to be what, like 4 minutes and.
It has to be 253 seconds
Yeah.
long, which is 4 minutes 13 seconds.
Yeah.
Or it has to be a maximum of that. It
You
can be
don't
shorter.
really got a lot of time to just get in there. You can say a couple of goofs and then get out and they're like, oh, I like the one where the guy farted and then he died or something. You're like, yeah, that's, you know. So it's a little bit easier to make the impression, but that's also just what we know. So that's what we do.
I've only done the 48 twice. The first time I did it with a different team, and I think the genre we got was sci-fi, and we were like, we want to be really serious, and we spent the first 24 of our 48 hours, like, really talking about what this character was feeling, what the audience was going to take away from it, and we had, a few hours outside the next day, and our cinematographer had to leave halfway through, and we forgot a shot that was, like, my character was sitting on this, like, rock the whole time, and then for the climax, like, I'm attacking the robot or whatever, but we didn't actually shoot me walking from the rock to the robot, so we had to, like, fade to black, and it was so bad, and I was just like, I'm never gonna want to do a serious one again, like, we took ourselves so seriously, and the only one that I've done other than that was with Nate, and our genre was adventure serial. And we put a lot of humor into it as well, because I think that's a very cheesy, so we could find the humor in it, but,
I love that one.
that's pretty good.
Yes.
Generally, how many people do you have on your team?
A lot of folks.
We have a bit, I mean, specifically us, and sometimes Paul, have definitely a lot of people that can do a lot of things. Like there's some people,
The actors are also crew,
Yeah.
We've got a guy holding a boom in one shot and then doing something else in the next shot. I was also the crab in Roller Rangers. So everybody's wearing a lot of hats, and I think on that one we had, 12 folks or something like that credited. And it's so great to have extra hands in that short time period because especially at the very beginning, we all go out to dinner and just shout out as many ideas as we can come up with, and then we end up kind of moving past the first thought ideas oftentimes and finding something that we can dig into that hopefully another team hasn't already thought of. And then you can kind of assign folks to go on runs, a couple of folks over here can go get costumes, a couple of folks over here can do another pass on the script. And then sometimes, we're pretty stacked, and so arguably we could have thinned it down a tiny bit, but we're making movies with a bunch of our buddies, and it's a great time to have everybody there contributing, and the last thing you want is too little people on a film set.
Yeah, I think
So
that's one thing about what's great about it too, is that there's such an easy buy-in because everyone's sort of emotionally invested because they were there from the conception of the film, and so it's kind of easy to justify everybody kind of staying up all night together. I will say, the biggest crunch that we usually have on our movies is the editing. We always cut it very, very, very close. I don't think there's a single
driving
time
to
we
the
have
brand at 6:55 when it's due at 7 with
Yeah,
a hard drive.
yeah. We turned it in I think a minute before we were supposed to. And so.
You don't have to do it that way.
But, and so, we usually try to have, honestly, a couple of editors editing different parts of the movie at the same time.
And then usually the folks that have participated throughout the weekend are hanging out in the editing suite with us, and we're all just munching on pizza, trying to watch back and see what lands.
And then there is a certain point in the night or the day, the morning, I guess, where we're okay, everyone shut up or leave. Really need to get
Now we're doing audio, so we need to hear it.
Everyone needs to be dead quiet. So yeah.
But yeah, you can scale up or down based on how many folks you have.
I don't think you need that many. I think our ideas necessitate that sometimes. I mean, obviously we had
That was an ensemble
6
cast,
people
so,
in the crew, but that was almost a creation of because we had a bunch of people. If a bunch of people showed up, so we're I guess there's 6 main characters, and that's actually why we were oh, it's funny that there's 2 blue characters, because we have too many people in a way, so.
I want to push back on that. I mean, I agree with you, you never want to have too few people if you don't have enough people to make a film, but For having done it for many years on a separate team from yours, my strategy, especially with 48, but certainly with even the 72, is to simplify it as much as possible. Like, my goal is always to think of a big idea for, like, one of our movies is about, like, a post-apocalyptic world where board games are illegal, and people meet in, like, underground caves to play board games without getting caught by the cops. Like, that's the story, but then we're gonna just sit with these two characters for 4 minutes as they play board games and try not to get caught by a cop who comes by. And my strategy is always just like, we need a single location, we need a single setup, and we're gonna have a page of script so that we can just like do that, and we're all gonna be wrapped by 5 p.m. so we can get a good dinner, get a good night's sleep, up at 10 a.m. tomorrow to start editing. There's been a few years when I've been like texting with them, and they've just been like, we didn't sleep, we're not sleeping, and we still have 45 setups left. And I'm just like, oh, really? We're wrapped. Our movie's already turned in. I think it's just different approaches.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could easily do, I mean, I've seen really good movies that were shot on an iPhone, and like, they had literally one setup on a phone, you know, and there's just a couple of people. So it's really just how you do it. And actually, I almost like keep to how we do it because we're so competitive with Paul and he's doing it. We just want to do something totally different, and we just know that we're never going to do the same idea, just given how we're approaching it. So.
I also think one of the reasons I'm excited that that's the one we showed is because it was a collaboration, and it is a big idea. Like, you have multiple setups. You have a crab monster, kaiju destroying a city. You have like a robot, like AI head that pops up, but it is mostly a single scene. It's all condensed in that same spot. And I remember pushing for that, being like, we can't go to the city. We just have to sit there with them.
I will say we did turn that one in at I think 6:57, so we still have a lot of editing in that one that pushed us into the wire there, but that definitely did simplify things.
Jonathan or Giovanni, do you want to talk about yours? Because I know it was completely different.
On my side, kudos to the crew, honestly. I know the cast and crew were a team, but for me, hats off, and the crew, they are the real MVP. Because they're the first one for the competition, they're the first ones to show up on set, and the last ones to leave. I mean, we get to do nicely. So, and then, one time I was part, well, I didn't know, I thought I was part of the cast, but then I show up, like, no, you're gonna be crew. And I was like, oh, okay, yes. And I was PA, after that I was like, never in my life. That's when I realized the crew, they are the real MVP, because they put out so much, and I was like, how's that?
100%. Whereas we get like, somebody brings us a water and a towel, make sure we're okay, and somebody fixes our hair, and then you're right, and it's just like, oh, you're wrapped, go ahead, go to bed, so you can look good in the morning.
Yeah. Honestly, like,
Hats off to the crew, but if you have a choice, be an actor every time.
Yes. I was gonna say for the film competitions, like the 48-hour Factory, and there was one in Lakewood a couple years ago. It's too bad they're not doing it anymore, because I really like theirs. And I am kind of ashamed to say that I kind of like to be in control a lot, so I will limit the people that I like get involved into the writing and the planning. And I was like, I just want to be in control of everything. I just want you to do that and follow my instructions, and I do everything else. So that might sound weird, but that's just kind of the way that I like to work. So
that's why we have a panel, right? Because everybody does things differently.
Yeah, especially on the small ones where I feel like it could get out of control really quickly, and there's not enough time. I just want to like be in control of everything, and then just write it, plan it all out, and then tell people where to go, and then be done. And then get them out of there so they don't have to worry about running around with me for 48 hours, you know, just like get all the stuff, and then I can just stress out about editing it and being done with it. So.
Totally. But it is also like a nice chance to, if you haven't worked with somebody before and you've always wanted to, you know, like the commitment's a couple of days, and then you can have possibly a new collaborator that you bring with you to like bigger projects or things like that too. So it's a really great opportunity to, even if you are kind of like doing a more granular setup, you can be like, oh, I've always wanted to work with this person. I wonder if they would join my team.
Yeah.
Oh, quite a few questions.
I was just wondering, where do you guys usually find the best resources to get casting crew? Is it combing through Facebook groups and stuff like that?
I think for me, for actors, I found Backstage really useful, and because I used them, somehow or another, like one of their salespeople came out to me and gave me a free coupon thing, and so I've been using it for free, like every time I come up with a script, and people come out, reach out from the area, and I find actors that way. And for the crew and like the pros that are out there, I try my best to reach out and cold call, and like over time, I feel like I've met people, and that's kind of been like a time thing more than anything.
I agree. Facebook groups are great, honestly. If anyone wants a list, I have actually a list of all the Facebook groups. So I used to find my stuff through that, and then also events like this one where you can network with people, make connections, because you never know who's in the room, who's watching you, and what they will need. I'll say make connections. Backstage.com works great as well. Casting networks is even better than Backstage. I mean, I love Backstage because that's how I booked my very first project, so I keep that in my heart, but I don't use it anymore. Casting networks, Facebook groups, and connections. And mostly connections nowadays, I can say, because now I have people reaching out like, hey, Gio, I'm writing this character and I thought of you, so if you want, I can send you the script, so make connections, because sometimes you get a freebie just like that.
Or
You don't have to audition anymore.
Or follow Facebook postings too.
Yes.
It's a joke between us. Sir?
Oh, I don't know if you guys, you guys kind of touched on it in the previous question, but what's kind of some of your bigger challenges in doing these limited time projects? Touching on stuff like selecting your crews, assigning roles. What are some of your bigger challenges?
Yeah, talk about some of the bad stuff. Some bad stuff. But how did you overcome them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I gotta be Pollyanna over here.
I think for me, the thing that makes me worried is if all I'm doing is participating in competitions. Like there was one year where we hadn't made a film since the last 72-hour competition. And even though those are great, and that's a great way to have accountability and that way to be creating, I was like, that's not enough for me. I want that to be ingrained in more aspects of my life, and so that was something that I was like, ooh, don't love that. I need to kind of rethink how I'm making time for art outside of this one weekend a year, especially because even though there are so many cool things that you can experiment with and try and do in 72 hours or 48 hours, it's important to try to also level up some of the skills. I think because in one of our recent projects we had a couple of weeks, which still was not a lot of time, but we had a couple of weeks to edit, and we were able to play with so many different post-production effects that we would have never attempted.
But it was still a very small movie, we still filmed it in a single.
It was a single.
I wouldn't say a single.
Well, actually, it should have been 2 days. I'm so sorry, Paul. We kept it up very late. Definitely should have had 2 filming nights. But yeah, we were able to really play with color and have this really fun monster costume that we were able to make in advance, which we wouldn't have been able to do. The pre-production was able to really flourish outside of that too. So having opportunities like that combined with the film competition, I think is a way to really keep growing.
But I would say, we touched on it a little bit before, but the editing specifically is, I think, a huge problem. And also, you also mentioned voices. Don kind of talked about it, where there is being a little bit of a megalomaniac can pay off, because if you were in charge, there really isn't there's not a lot of voices, and I can say that is sometimes a problem with our group, is it is a little bit bloated, and so we have such great people, and we want to involve everybody, but it really comes down to how the hell are we gonna fit all of these things together somehow? And so, like I said, there is an advantage to, having people that are kind of like there from day one and they're really invested. But then there is like, you really don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You do want to kind of make this everybody's film. And so that can be a challenge. And there is always there's some cuts and bruises by the end of the, emotional cuts and bruises by the end of the 72 hours sometimes. But I think ultimately we're just trying to make a really good film. So we try to keep that in mind. But we do really try to keep everybody as involved as they can be. And like, if they can have that one joke that they had in the writer's room, or, writer's room, which is usually like, I don't know, McMahon, where we're all having a beer or something like that, then they can kind of hold on to that and be like, everyone laughed at my joke, that's great. And so that can be, but that is a big challenge.
Yeah. I'll also say too, having been directed by Nate a few times, I've learned to recognize the director trick of when I come up with a great idea that I'm so pumped about, I can see his eyes just be like, we're not gonna do that. And then I hear like, sure, we'll do it once your way, and we'll do it once my way, and then like we'll see which one works better in the edit. And then I'm always just like, all right, I'm gonna argue for my way when it comes to the edit, because it's gonna be over weeks or whatever. But in a weekend, it's just like, we don't have time to do it your way and the other way and see what works. We just gotta get it, and we gotta know we have it. And I also think for me, knowing it's a competition, sometimes I go hard in the direction of like, being like, we gotta make sure we're not doing it, the requirement, exactly the same as anybody else. And sometimes I go too like, clever, or like turning it on its head. There was one where the line was, the required dialogue was back to square one. And I was just like, we can't just be like, all right, that didn't work, back to square one. That's what everyone's gonna do. So we had a character like spinning a mannequin around, and he's like, I turned his front to square 2. I turned his side to square 4. I turned his back to square 1. And I was just like, I'm a genius. And if I had been with Nate, we wouldn't have done it.
When I competed at the 253, I remember putting just so much of my heart and like passion into the story, and I was feeling so good about it, but it kind of hit flat, and I was a little bit bummed. But so I guess my advice would be to just kind of set your expectations a little bit, so you don't get heartbroken too much. But you definitely want to put your heart into it, but also realize that maybe this isn't your night or whatever. So I think that is just something to think about.
Any challenges that stick out that you can work on?
It's like how do you select your team, right? If you don't have a team, I'll say I can give out an advice, learned from my friend, who's a producer. So he didn't have the time, a team before. So the way he selected, he actually kept them. They do a film selection. Follow people, especially social media nowadays, watch his stuff. If it's the style that you're looking for, that you're into it, then reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. Reach out to people if you like the way they work and you guys want to team up, do it. Honestly, you never know if it's gonna work out or not.
And what's cool is teams can always be evolving too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tight-knit community in this area, in the film world, and so it's really cool to, meet folks that have been on your friends' projects, and then you're like, oh my gosh, we definitely should collaborate, and so that's something that can constantly be evolving and growing too.
We have a question in the back.
What's the submission process like?
It's been pretty easy for these type of 253 48-hour in terms of signing up. If that's what you mean, or do you mean
just the whole process?
Yeah, I think. And it's usually down to the wire. You have to put together the right files. I think that's one of the big problems is usually being prepared to send a large file.
And it takes forever to submit,
and it
so
feels
be careful.
the deadline are pretty hard on that. And the Lakewood Fest was they had a rubric that they judged us on. They were very harsh on the rubric. It wasn't just 4 little things. It was just, and I remember
I was one of the judges. They asked me to do it.
Yeah, I remember missing.
I know so many people on here. This is weird.
I missed the rubric because it was so long, and it was I didn't even read it, and I I felt bad, I felt bad for myself because I didn't get it, but they kind of took me out of the running a little bit, so some of them are more nitpicky than others, but I feel like the time constraint is the biggest one. Just getting it done, submitted, having a plan to submit would be probably the biggest caveat.
Yeah, I would say, sometimes we'll do a early cut. We'll be like, this is worst case scenario cut. And then
If our export fails,
we'll
we have
send
something.
somebody with a hard drive to the place.
Yeah, we'll
Like,
literally use a hard drive sometimes.
Yeah,
because
normally,
the uploading will take too long.
I think at the Grand, they've normally been like, you can upload it, or if you
Yeah.
want to, you can take it in. And so we'll have somebody go early to take it in, and then, or actually, sometimes the opposite, where we're like, we'll upload this one, and then we'll run.
Yeah, and then it says it's gonna be 40 minutes, and we're like, we gotta get somebody out there.
Yeah, so,
But yeah, in the initial part, I'm not sure if this was part of the question as well, you'll in these competitions, and then typically they do basically like an onboarding, they do like a big reveal party where they tell you the requirements, and then set you off to go make your movie, and then yeah, the submission is just by this time on this day. And there's a big party afterwards, and you can watch a movie with a bunch of your friends.
We have, we can take one more question from the audience, and I know you with the final.
Sure. I was gonna ask, obviously it's a huge time crunch. Have you ever been surprised by something that you did not include, that normally would be like when we're making a film, of course we do this, that you didn't do, and it turned out to be like, fine? That surprised you?
Like an accident, a happy accident almost, or?
Well, I guess more something that, you realize, oh my God, we've got 2 hours, we can't do this thing that should be essential. And then going, well, actually, now that we put it together, we didn't need to do that thing that I thought was absolutely essential.
Yeah.
I've been wrong so many times making these things. I mean, also just working with a group, I think there's been some, I know Paul made me seem like I'm a dictator, but I really, a lot of the time, I will not get something. I'll be like, I don't know why we're doing this. Or opposite, where I'm like, we gotta get this. This is the way it should be. And I will film it like 15 times, and they're like, Nate, you gotta like stop. That's not how it's gonna work. And we've done things where like backward shots where I'm like, this isn't gonna work. And it turns out all right, or there's a joke that everybody laughs at that I was like, I didn't get it, but I put it in there because everyone liked it, and that was the one that did really well.
Didn't make me take it out.
Yeah, usually, yeah. I try to let people, if they're really into something, I'm like, let's do it. You have more passion than I do, so let's see how it comes out. Does that answer your question at all, or?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay.
I guess I was thinking more like in a mechanical sense, right? Where it's less, I assume that you had experiences where you wanted to do something you couldn't, and more thinking about what was something that surprised you about something that you didn't actually need to do, that you felt would have been essential, not to just the story you're creating, but like the process of making a film, right? Where it's like, oh, of course we need to edit that part of that sequence that way, or we need to light that thing that way. We don't have that light, okay, I guess we're just not gonna.
I mean, I really wanted a convertible Bronco for this film that we were doing, like the AI short thing, and I worked really hard, and I worked my ass off, and I found a guy who had one, and he let me borrow it, and I had the convertible Bronco, went and picked it up, put the whole crew in it, we drove around, we had just so much fun just being in it, and I totally forgot to even shoot the scene. We just went so fast the rest of the day, and it was like, by the end of the day, I was like, we forgot the Bronco shot, we're doing the convertible, and like, we didn't need it, we did not need it, so it was fine. But there you go.
Ryan's gonna wrap with a question, but know that you guys can stay afterwards, talk to the panelists, mingle amongst yourselves. Please do. This is your community. This is where you find your peeps and make that feature project together.
Yeah, so by way of wrapping up, why don't you each just mention what you're working on next, and if you can, sort of talk about how doing the film process has helped your career, maybe gotten you to projects that you're doing, which I know, I'm staring at you guys because I'm excited, I think I know what you're gonna say. But for everybody, I'm just excited to hear what's coming up next, and then, yeah, in this thread of your career, how has Film Challenges gotten you to that place?
Yeah, we got one. We got one. So the little short we watched, Roller Rangers, that actually ended up basically acting as a proof of concept for a feature film that we're now working on. So we got this very goofy, like Power Rangers-y style feature film. It's called Wheel Force Go, and it's more of a dark comedy than what we just watched. So, but it like lives in 90s universes, and we used a lot of the same cast and crew, and everybody was really excited to extend this idea that we all had like so much more energy for after just 72 hours. And so that is currently in post-production. We're doing a crazy amount of visual effects, so we're still in editing for a little bit longer, but that's coming out this year is the goal. Yeah.
Are you planning on having a premiere in Tacoma, or are you gonna?
Right here, y'all. I really hope so. We might need to talk about an extension offline.
I have a film that I've been writing for the last few months. I try to make one every year at least, and I'm kind of fixated in the sci-fi world. And in fact, I think a lot of my stories kind of are maybe saying the same thing. This one is called Penny, and it's kind of based on a story I read in the New York Times about these video game developers that have these AI agents playing the game to test it and find bugs. And they found that when they told the AI agents that they weren't real, that they would start panicking and having these crazy existential crises and trying to figure out what the heck's going on and how to get home to their lives and making up all kinds of random stuff. So I wrote a story about a woman that receives this mysterious cube in the mail, and she decides to go and figure out what it means. But by the time she figures out what it means, it kind of like destroys her whole understanding of who she is. And it's kind of a puzzle, so there's a puzzle wrapped up in it, and that's where I'm at. Yeah, we should be filming April 18th and 19th, and hopefully be done, before the summer. In the summer. And yeah, maybe submit to film festival, maybe not. It's not really high stakes. It's just me and my own money. So.
Last month we shot a proof of concept here in Tacoma. Actually, it's a action comedy film. It's called Hit It, and we put it out there, and people liked it. So I got word that we're actually gonna do a short film about it with the same character, Raymond Power, talented actor from Tacoma. He's amazing, so we clicked pretty well. Never worked with him, but we did part of the same film at different days with each other. So when they told me, oh, you're gonna be working with Power, I was like, oh, awesome. And people liked it, so they say, like, we're gonna do a short film. I have a feature one all the way in Bellingham, but then I come back here in July for another feature, and that's gonna be a superhero film. We're gonna shoot here in Tacoma and
Nice. You've hit it somewhere online that we can watch.
that's already on YouTube, and it's by CCC Productions, and it's called Hit It. It's a comedy / action film with kind of like an 80s vibe. I'm learning how to English, sorry.
You're doing perfecto.
Yeah. My next big thing that I'm desperately waiting for is for them to finish editing a movie I shot with them. It's always weird as an actor, especially for the few times I've worked on a feature, where it's just like, you're going hard for this for like several months, and then it's just like, you feel like you're being ghosted. And it's just like, I hope someday that movie comes out. And then they've told me before, they're like, we're in, and I'm in the film that they're making, they're like, we feel like we see you constantly all day, every day, staring at your face.
All the time.
I will say I'm very fortunate, myself and a few really good friends are creators. We do a science fiction comedy series that is really enjoyable, it's really fun. We are putting on kind of every other month quarterly here at the Grand Cinema. On March 27th, we're gonna have a show here in Theater 4, and it's a good time. Oh, thank you. It's called Spacies. You can see that on the Grand website. And it's a good time. I think people enjoy it.
It's great.
Round of applause. Okay, you wanna talk about the survey real quick?
Like Melinda said, please do talk, network, mingle, talk to people, but there's also a survey. It'll be up on the screen. There's a piece of paper right there, and there's one here as you leave. Please, if you've got a second, just give that a scan. Let us know what you thought, and if you have ideas for future conversations.
May 11th is our, supposed next date.
Yes, put that in your calendars, May 11th, we are targeting to meet again here, same time, same location, so. But please, please take a moment and do the survey. We do get together afterwards and we talk about what you put in that survey. It helps us to decide what we're gonna do next. And it's really,
Talk about next.
it's really important to us to hear from you. We wanna do things and give you resources that are local, but we also, if, you know, local within what you are wanting, but if you are, you know, if this is, you're like, I love this, but I really am gonna be a Hollywood director, A-list director, how do I get there? We will do our best to try to see what resources. Yeah, we'll do our best, but we wanna shape it around you. And Ryan and Paul just reminded me, I'm sorry to forget to ask, but there is an event coming up where they're looking for filmmakers to submit. So.
That's not the 253 film?
That is not the 253 Film Challenge, and unfortunately, is my Wi-Fi working? Okay.
We can include it in the post
Yeah.
email.
So we want to make sure we don't slam you with tons of emails also, but we thought as time, you know, maybe once a month or where it makes sense that we would send you resources that we get information on. So if you saw it last time, we sent you a couple of different things, the One Table Read and also Washington Filmworks. If you feel like that's too much and you don't want that, then please let us know. But the idea is that we also help you when we get that information. We want to pass that down to you as well. But if you're feeling like it's too much, let us know. But I'm thinking maybe once a month, if we even have that. But again, we want to be mindful of your time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
You stay and mingle until